We've gotten better as a society at judging women less, but Euphoria's Cassie Howard reminds us how far we haven't come.
What have I done, McKay?
It's not like it's that big of a secret, Cassie.
According to Twitter, Euphoria is the most tweeted about show of the decade. And a massive chunk of these tweets are takedowns of Cassie. In season 2, Cassie sleeps with her best friend Maddie's ex, falls in love with him, and goes bananas.
You don't understand, Nate, is I am crazier!
And this behavior really touched a cultural nerve. What felt like one half of Twitter was mad and also kind of excited for the coming catfight. The other talked about the cringe of Cassie's obsession with guys, especially Nate. In the season 2 finale, during Lexi's play, Cassie gets up on stage and it feels like she's attacking us, the audience, for judging her.
I deserve this, right? Because I've actually lived a life?
Euphoria itself doesn't have a puritanical view about sex, and to a degree, the characters on the show prize being sexually experienced while making fun of virgins.
She was a virgin. She told Jules that a week into summer school, and when Kat saw her reaction.
Bitch, this isn't the 80s. You need to catch a dick.
But it portrays how Cassie is belittled for her widely shared nudes and videos.
Cassie's on the slut page?
Lest we'd be tempted to mistakenly reason that, in our more enlightened era, slut-shaming is a thing of the past. And in season 2, the situation gets worse. Cassie acts like a cringeworthy pick-me and a terrible friend, and it almost feels like Euphoria is trying to bait fans into judging her.
Well, if that makes me a villain, then so be it.
Cassie's peers focus so much on judging and making fun of what she does, but what's truly revealing is how they and the audience treat her.
It made me feel like you weren't proud to be my boyfriend.
And the effect this has on her. Here's our take on Cassie and what her character arc actually has to say about self-esteem, sexuality, and the slut trope in today's world.
Cassie's a whore. Fact.
You think I'm here because I'm interested in you? And what you have to say? Any guy who says he's interested in you beyond just f***ing you is full of shit.
When a character does questionable things, their backstory helps us understand why. We may not feel we'd ever act the same way, but at least we empathize. So we see that Rue's dad dying is connected to her drug use, and Cal is the source of much of Nate's rage and violence.
Do you think hiding it creates the same thing in them?
With Cassie, we're told early on that her dad loved her but let her down. The transition from discussing her dad to her love life is seamless.
She also never saw her dad again. She fell in love with every guy she ever dated.
Making it obvious how her relationships with guys are a continuation of her relationship with her father. She keeps putting her faith in boyfriends who disappoint her. But beyond the archetypal daddy issues driving promiscuous behavior, there's part of Cassie's dynamic with guys that has less to do with Cassie herself and more with the world around her. As we learn from the backstory and Lexi's play, Cassie hitting puberty was such a momentous event, it affected Lexi too.
The most defining moment of my adolescence was when my sister went through puberty.
And there's a very important observation Rue makes.
And it wasn't just her body that changed, but the rest of the world too.
What Rue means here is that it's not that Cassie fundamentally becomes anything other than who she's always been. It's that everyone else reacts to Cassie differently, for no reason other than her more womanly appearance.
Look at you all grown up. Come on, give me a hug. You really filled out.
I bet you got all the boys wrapped around your finger.
These lines show how disturbing it is for young girls when suddenly everyone starts seeing and treating them as sexual objects. Ironically, Sam Levinson, Euphoria's creator, was actually criticized for sexualizing Cassie, as she's the only actress with nude sex scenes in Euphoria, and she has a lot of them. But arguably, the creative choice to show us Cassie having sex a lot has merit, because it reflects the way Cassie both relies on her sexuality and has been perceived as a sexual object her entire post-pubescent life.
Show us your boobs!
The curse of growing up hot may sound like an infuriating phrase, but from a young age, all anyone talks about when they talk about Cassie is her appearance.
Holy moly, look at you.
What?
You're gonna be a real heartbreaker.
You're perfect.
At one point, Lexi yells at her.
You look beautiful, Cassie. You look f***ing amazing. It's literally all anyone's ever told you your entire life.
The sentence, "it's literally all anyone's ever told you your entire life," is sad because it seems to suggest no one ever told Cassie anything else nice about herself. Add to that the fact that, at that point, Cassie is worrying about how her stomach looks because she's pregnant, which makes Lexi's remark doubly hurtful. When the only thing anyone sees in you is appearance, you yourself might begin hyper-focusing on it and internalizing the idea that beauty or being pleasing to the male eye is all that gives you value.
Where would Mom be without her perfect nose? She wouldn't find a man like you. She'd be nothing.
You learn to rely on it.
You don't know how much power you have.
That's why when McKay is telling Cassie his worries about his football career, she starts kissing him. He gets frustrated.
Why you gotta make everything so sexual?
But it seems like she does this because she has learned that giving sex is the easiest way for her to make people happy. So that is her automatic reaction to McKay being upset, an idea which McKay reinforces when he shortly after asks her, very insistently, for nudes. What's effective about Cassie's arc in Euphoria is that it doesn't just focus on a character who craves male validation or a character who is stereotyped as a slut, but the way in which these two forces, internal and external, play off each other. It shows us how Cassie learns first to relate to men with the same sad patience she has for her dad, trusting them despite being disappointed by them, and then how the initial objectification Cassie experiences as soon as she hits puberty sets off a kind of chain reaction. Relying on guys for self-esteem leads Cassie to let them push her beyond what she's comfortable with.
Every guy she ever dated asked for the same things, and she almost always said yes.
Which in turn erodes her self-esteem further, which makes her all the more dependent on them. Cassie always has a boyfriend.
When have you ever been single?
At the same time, the guys sense her need to appeal to them and interpret it as a willingness to be pushed.
Her like the horse she is. You kick her ass to the curb.
You don't, we will.
A kind of sped-up version of this process happens between Cassie and Daniel. She knows he will shower attention upon her, so she comes to him twice when upset. To be fair, the first time she does this, she is on Molly. But Daniel, sensing that she is using him for self-esteem, demands that he gets to use her back, which culminates in this horrible incel-like monologue.
You think I'm here because I'm interested in you? And what you have to say? Are you dumb?
In the discussion of Cassie's backstory, we get a strong sense of how uniform the world's reaction to her is. Everyone says she's beautiful, sometimes in the exact same words.
You are literally the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Has anyone ever told you that?
Every boyfriend asks if they can film her.
She knew that most guys, after she broke up with them, would always share those photos or videos.
So while this repetitiveness can make it feel frustrating that Cassie doesn't ever fight back or change something to snap out of this exploitative pattern, the show communicates how the world has almost conditioned her, through constant repetition, to fall into the rut she's in, of constantly trying to find love in exchange for her sex appeal, making the same choices and finding herself hurt.
I keep making mistakes and not learning from them. Bitch, you're my soulmate.
In the pilot of season 2, Cassie sleeps with Maddie's ex, Nate. Nate and Maddie are broken up when Cassie comes into the picture, but only for 3 weeks and 3 days. Cassie does not tell Maddie about the situation, but gets outed.
How long have you been f***ing Nate Jacobs?
Meanwhile, on Twitter, an avalanche of fans call for Cassie's blood and eventually get what they want. At the same time, there is a shadowy collective of Cassie supporters out there called the Cassie Hive. As a society, we are fascinated by stories of romantic rivals. Two men competing for a woman is the classic love triangle, hailing all the way back to medieval chivalric romances and even older stories featuring men fighting each other to win the heart of a woman, or sometimes of men discovering they may have been cuckolded by another. But when the story is about two women competing over a man, which is less common in older literature, the tone is different. A man beats rivals to win a woman's heart, but women are said to steal men from other women.
Lexi, is this the part of the play where I steal Jake from Marta?
This language reflects the way masculine rivalry in love is more legitimized in our society, while the taboo against women, quote, stealing men remains uniquely powerful.
But I'm not the bad guy.
Well, you're not the good guy.
I'm pointing out the principle.
What principle?
The don't f your best friend's boyfriend principle.
Twitter, or at least the most vocal parts of it, seem to have taken the story straight. Cassie is the villain for betraying Maddie by hooking up with Nate. But if we look closer, this love triangle actually comments on the way we tend to think about women fighting over men. Even though Cassie is supposed to be the temptress in this scenario, she isn't forward and independent like the women who steal men are often portrayed to be. Also, she is a complete romantic.
You deserve someone who's passionate and loving, who yearns for you and can't wait to see you.
This sweetly naive girl is obsessed with the idea of true love and believes that to achieve that kind of love, you need to sacrifice everything.
I ruined my entire life for you.
Meanwhile, the male prize being fought over here, Nate, is a clear villain. The audience knows that, really, neither girl is supposed to be with him. And that's actually what makes this version of the other woman love triangle so tragic. Maddie may be fierce and kind of scary when wronged.
She'll actually kill you.
But she is an excellent friend to Cassie.
I would have never done this to you.
So more than the woman scorned who's concerned with keeping her man, maybe she's a woman who's upset because she loves her friend.
This isn't about Nate. This is about you and me and our friendship.
After Cassie and Nate hook up, she becomes obsessed with him. This is what set off the other half of Twitter, the ones that didn't want Maddie to bash in Cassie's skull, but instead found Cassie pitiable and cringeworthy.
You guys can all judge me if you want, but I do not care.
Some pointed out that Nate is abusive and sociopathic, and Cassie must be an idiot for not seeing this. Others focused on the way Nate's treatment of Cassie indicates that he isn't even that interested in her. Still, others suggested Cassie's delusional for ignoring hints that he may be closeted. Though Nate actor Jacob Elordi commented on how this question is more complicated than a clear-cut matter of orientation due to Nate's issues with his father's sexual behavior. But mostly, what bothered people about Season 2 Cassie was her readiness to go to any lengths to make a guy want her. The beginnings of Cassie's obsession are shown in her morning ritual. The camera shakes as Cassie manically primps, trying to make herself absolutely perfect just in case Nate notices her.
And for those 3 hours she spent getting ready, she only thought about one thing.
She also begins to dress like Maddie and do her hair and makeup like Maddie, which tells us that her obsession with Nate has completely replaced any sense of self that she has.
Wait, why? My class is this way.
Donnie Davy, the makeup artist for Euphoria, discussed the choices for Cassie's look in Season 2, Episode 7, quote, "The goal was to sort of shift her whole vibe to the Season 1 era Jules by Maddie by Cassie hybrid that would appeal to Nate or possibly to his subconscious. Cassie's hair is blonder, straighter, and more motionless, and her skin much paler, which, according to Davy, almost suggests that she's unwell, gorgeous but weirdly sterile, like a mannequin, her youthful innocent energy gone. All she wants from life is to be Nate's, to a degree that's embarrassing to watch."
I belong to you. So I trust you now it's best.
Many of the tweets about Season 2 Cassie focus on her embarrassing behaviors. The crying, the chasing after Nate, the losing it in public.
I have never, ever been happier.
According to Melissa Dahl, author of Cringeworthy, A Theory of Awkwardness, vicarious embarrassment, or cringe, comes in 2 types. There is contemptuous cringe and compassionate cringe. Compassionate cringe is when you genuinely feel bad that a person is experiencing humiliation. Contemptuous cringe is when you instead feel derision and contempt toward the person. More tweets about Cassie fall into this second category. We often tend to cringe at things that we recognize to a degree in ourselves. Dahl writes, "Embarrassment is what the research typically classifies as a self-conscious emotion, which would suggest that you wouldn't feel it unless you had some kind of personal investment in the thing that is making you cringe." So it's possible that the people making fun of Cassie on Twitter may also, to some degree, be making fun of themselves. After all, the experience of crushing on someone so hard that you devote all of your thoughts and energy to them isn't unique to Cassie.
And even if Nate pretended not to notice her, it was her way of telling him that she was his.
And Cassie's losing her sense of self and getting obsessed with a guy after sleeping with him is very common young girl behavior. That feeling of spotting your crush in the school hallway, and that experience where you know you're being treated poorly, but you tell yourself that you can somehow muscle your way through the bad parts into an actually good relationship,
You can't f***ing blackmail me into a relationship with you.
are all instantly recognizable to most of us, even if we don't like to admit it or dwell on the times when we might have acted similarly. At the end of Season 2, we watch, along with all of Euphoria High, a play written by Cassie's sister Lexi. It creates a kaleidoscopic effect. Within the world of Euphoria High that we are watching, there is another, smaller, snow globe Euphoria that the characters themselves are watching.
Wait, is this f***ing play about us?
Much of the play is focused on Cassie, or Hallie as she's called in the play, and what growing up next to her was like for Lexi. Lexi expresses a lot of the crueler things we tend to think about women who put male attention at the center of their lives. Jealousy that they have all that attention, mixed with an insinuation that they are vain, vapid, and talentless.
Ugh, I look disgusting.
Hey, Hallie, I'm in the middle of something.
It's just this dress is so not flattering.
At the same time, even within the play, Lexi has insight into the fact that the way people react to Cassie/Hallie is not altogether in her control.
To be honest, I'm not really the kind of person who wants to be known for their body. But I also didn't want the troubles that came along with it.
And that all Cassie really wants is love.
At that age, we all thought we knew what love looked like. None of us had any idea what it actually was.
This desire to find true love is really at the core of Cassie's, quote, sluttiness. She acts the way she does, prioritizing guys over friends, centering her life around male attention to find love.
Aren't you afraid people are gonna look down on you?
At least I'm loved.
Cassie's season 1 arc doesn't really nudge audiences to have an opinion for or against her. Cassie makes questionable choices, but also terrible, undeserved things happen to her. It illuminates the low self-esteem that drives her behavior, while showing how her every sexual act with a guy is held against her by her peers.
She's a whore through and through, bro.
And far from us having moved past slut-shaming behaviors, in our age of nudes and everyone filming everything, the damage to someone's reputation can be even fiercer and more concrete.
And she figured by the time she was out of college and looking for a job, 99% of the population would have leaked nudes anyway.
But in season 2, we see Cassie do less and less forgivable things, like be terrible to Maddie, who truly loves her, and sacrifice everything, including every shred of identity she has, for the worst person on the show.
You can control what I wear.
It feels like Euphoria is inviting us to judge Cassie, almost trying to bait us into hating her. Within the snow globe of Euphoria High, this judgment of Cassie happens on the stage of Lexi's play. And even though Cassie snaps and jumps on the stage trying to vindicate herself, yelling at Lexi, and by extension at us,
You've never even f***ing lived. That's why you're able to stand up here and judge all of us.
Euphoria still does not make Cassie's perspective become the primary one, because that would lift the responsibility off of us. As Cassie is speaking, she's interrupted by the play version of herself.
I just love f***ing everything.
This scene alludes to the infamous carousel scene from season 1, in which Cassie overdoes it with Molly and gets extremely horny on a merry-go-round while being ogled and filmed by onlookers. Cassie snaps and attacks her play counterpart, and this vision, a woman seeing a version of herself being made fun of for public entertainment, snapping, and being again put on display for snapping, is very recognizable in our culture. Euphoria knows that culturally we are obsessed with watching women go off the rails, especially if these women are beautiful and popular.
I'm not the one putting on a play to humiliate and embarrass you. Oh, really? Then what is this?
The public and the media were mesmerized in the aughts by the very public unravelings of women like Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan, and Amy Winehouse. The public's reactions to Cassie's descent into madness prove that, perhaps, we're still just as susceptible to treating the sight of a popular woman in pain as pure entertainment as we were then. It's easy enough to empathize with a girl like Cassie to a degree, for a little while, as long as she eventually gets her act together and stops making the same stupid mistakes on repeat while baselessly expecting the outcome to be different. But can we still maintain empathy and respect for her if she doesn't snap out of that cycle? Ultimately, Cassie's arc in season 2 of Euphoria is a challenge, almost like we were asked, will you stay with us through the points we're trying to make? Or will you again get seduced and distracted by the spectacle of a beautiful girl going nuts, and again forget to actually feel for her? Judging by reactions online, both things happened. There's a spirited debate going on between those disgusted and embarrassed by Cassie and those who are feeling for her, and that in itself is progress.
Cassie, what is going on, Cassie? Season 2 Cassie goes through some major changes, and so does her style. Euphoria's makeup and fashion looks are influential and iconic, but they also have a deeper meaning reflecting what's going on with the characters. So what's the secret emotional meaning underneath each of Cassie's season 2 looks? When Cassie becomes determined to catch Nate's attention, she changes her style to be more like his ex Maddie's, and even just completely copies Maddie with this Y2K-esque matching set and mini handbag.
Wait, why? My class is why then?
As Vogue writes, matching sets and flashy suits are an easy, impactful shorthand for the queen bee. Think Cher Horowitz or Blair Waldorf, and Maddie's no exception. A set says, I have my life in order, projecting the sometimes obsessive need for control queen bees have. So it's ironic that Cassie tries to adopt Maddie's signature confident look when she's clearly spiraling out of control.
The anxiety and excitement she felt in her stomach.
Cassie's makeup changes too. Her usual day look is barefaced and glowy, but after falling for Nate, she starts echoing Maddie's heavier and vampier looks. She even does the laid down edges like Maddie, which for white Cassie is not a great look. This approach works, at least to briefly catch Nate's attention, but it's an insight into just how quickly Cassie is losing herself and trying anything, even ripping off the best friend she's betraying just to get a passing glance from a guy.
And for those 3 hours she spent getting ready, she only thought about one thing.
Cassie also starts looking a bit more like Jules, perhaps sensing Nate's secret attraction to her. By the end of season 2, Cassie's skin is paler and her hair is straighter and blonder like Jules's. Her bright graphic eyeliner and some of the brighter colors she wears also remind us of Jules. Donnie Davy, Euphoria's makeup artist, said, quote, "The goal was to sort of shift her whole vibe to be season 1 era Jules Maddie Cassie hybrid that would appeal to Nate or possibly to his subconscious." Nate fantasizes about Cassie turning into both Maddie and Jules while they're together. And after Cassie tells Nate he can dress her in season 2's second to last episode, in the finale her bright hair and makeup colors evoke Jules, while her matching outfit has a Maddie vibe.
Am I everything you wish for?
So he's clearly not over his breakup with Maddie and harboring a strong attraction to Jules, which is complicated by Jules' history with his dad. And Cassie's insecurity stems from knowing Nate's not fully hers.
We got to play with so many really cool looks because I was all these other characters that I thought Nate wanted.
After the earlier sequences of Cassie adopting a punishing hours-long beauty ritual to appeal to Nate,
it was her way of telling him that she was his.
Later in the season, Cassie explicitly tells Nate he can basically make her his doll.
You control what I wear, what I eat.
And we get a dreamy, light-sodden scene where Nate is dressing Cassie up. The fantasy is symbolic of their relationship. He makes her into whatever he's craving at the moment. She wants nothing more than to be controlled and possessed by him. Nate likes girls to look feminine and innocent, so we see him tie a baby blue ribbon in Cassie's hair and put her in a dress that, if you look close enough, has pom-poms on it. CBR writes, the dress was a piece from Moschino's 2022 spring collection designed by Jeremy Scott, which received some online backlash when it was released because it appeared to be infantilizing women. The collection was also a take on the 1950s housewife in suburban life, reflecting Nate's fantasy of getting Cassie pregnant, which many fans think she is. In season 2, Cassie is lost and looking for a role. After trying to look like Maddie, she's basically flailing around for anything Nate might like. One particularly random look that happens to coincide with school Oklahoma auditions makes Rue think Cassie's literally playing a character.
Wait, are you in the play? Oh my god, do I look like I'm in Oklahoma?
Euphoria's costume director Heidi Bivens said to Vogue, quote, "I think what you see her trying to emulate is what she wishes she was, and so more than a lot of the other characters, I feel like Cassie's clothes are a costume." By the finale, it seems as though there's almost no Cassie left in Cassie. Her hair isn't bouncy anymore and she's deathly pale. She looks, as Donnie Davy put it, unwell.
I'm the one who falls in love. I'm the one who gets hurt.
Her appearance is also a little robotic, like she's a Stepford wife. Again, maybe echoing Nate's fantasy where Cassie and he have a perfect family. In trying to fit the role of Nate's girlfriend, Cassie suppresses her own identity, and it's almost eerie when Maddie says,
"Well, she certainly looks the part."
Some outfits don't take an expert to decipher. There's Cassie's gray depression sweats, and then, of course, there's the desperation swimsuit. Cassie sees Nate fawning over Maddie on Maddie's birthday and reacts.
Wow, that was certainly a choice.
In a different color, that swimsuit would totally be a Maddie thing. Straps and cutouts are her style, but on Cassie, it's a cry for help.
What's going on? Sweetie, it's okay, oh god.
Cassie's baseline style is youthful and feminine. Almost everything she wears is light pink or baby blue, little girl colors, and little girl hairdos too. Pigtails, double buns, braids, but her form-fitting silhouettes and deep cleavage are feminine and sensual. These two sides of her style reflect how in life, Cassie's in a constant push and pull between innocence and sexiness.
We should just pick the hottest, most confident, bad bitch version of ourselves and be that for the rest of the school year.
Her nature is sweet and immature, but she's used to being perceived as a sex object and knows that that's part of her power. Cassie's makeup looks communicate the same combination of innocence and sensuality. Donnie Davy, speaking of the episode where Cassie first hooks up with Nate and betrays Maddie, said, "We loved keeping her skin dewy with super fleshy cheeks and lips for this episode. We were always bringing her lip color out beyond her lips to sort of look like make-out cry lips." And she described the tiny rhinestones framing Cassie's eyes. As the night goes on, her anxiety, terrified, totally freaked out eyes are framed by this delicate, innocent twinkle. She wasn't really trying to do what she did, right? As the season goes on, people, like her mom, call her out on this contradiction, how she keeps maintaining innocence and powerlessness over her situation, but is clearly making the choice to sleep with her best friend's guy.
I'm not the bad guy. Everyone keeps looking at me like I'm the bad guy, but I'm not the bad guy.
Well, you're not the good guy.
The plot of Cassie and Nate's secret relationship culminates in a showdown between the two best friends, and that's reflected in the contrast between their looks and evolution of their styles. Just look at how sleek and immaculate Maddie looks even after the fight, while Cassie's look is completely messed up. And in general, while Cassie tries to pull off Maddie looks in season 2, she's fighting a losing battle because their essences are completely opposed. Maddie is controlled and mature, while Cassie is childish and a mess.
I just want to die.
Maddie's trademark makeup is heavy and bold, with sharp, lethal wings. Cassie's season 1 and early season 2 looks are more natural, glowy, and soft. Maddie wears a lot of sleek, tight updos and ponies, signaling how put together and in control she is, while Cassie wears her hair in loose, golden curls. In season 2, while Cassie is copying season 1 Maddie moves on to 90s styles which are edgier and more on trend, maybe reflecting the influence her very fashionable new mentor Samantha has on her.
I got you something.
What? You didn't have to.
I know. Something tells me you'll enjoy it.
When Maddie wears hypersexual clothes, it's almost like it's not even about sex, but about flaunting the confidence it takes to pull off that kind of outfit. But when Cassie wears sexy outfits, perhaps because the shape of her body and the way it looks like it might spill out of her clothes, she ends up looking almost too sexy, or sexier than she had planned, as though her own body isn't quite under her control. So we see that the control Maddie has and Cassie lacks extends to how much agency they have over their own image. Cassie spends season 2 pretty much at the whim of her heart's urges, and her costumes and makeup reflect this scattered, disorderly emotional state. Whereas Maddie and other characters are dressing to express themselves, Cassie is just blindly trying everything she can to be loved, but through totally erasing herself, she's not making that possible.
Aren't you afraid people are gonna look down on you?
At least I'm loved.
As Heidi Bivens said, quote, "She's still trying to figure out how to present herself to the world. Hopefully in season 3, we'll see a new Cassie style that's actually about who she is."
Why are daddy issues mocked or fetishized when they're a byword for absent, neglectful, or dysfunctional parenting?
Why the girls on porn? You just know something's wrong because why else are they doing it?
It's usually daddy issues.
Daddy issues is an umbrella, unsympathetic term for women who have a complicated or unhealthy relationship with their dad, often because he was physically or emotionally absent. In their adult relationships, girls with daddy issues are shown on screen or assumed in real life to be highly sexual, eager to please, and interested in older men.
This place is full of girls with daddy issues and I've got the penthouse suite.
For these reasons, they're desired, but also ridiculed, assumed to have no self-respect, or to be annoyingly clingy and possessive.
Daddy issues. I used to know chicks like this, they're tricky. They need a lot of protecting.
When a child does have an absent or neglectful parent, this often results in an insecure attachment style, which is a serious problem to address and work through. So why is this something that, in girls, gets treated as either a turn-on, a joke, or a reason to write someone off as a hopeless cause?
Daddy issues.
There's a long history of men fetishizing women with daddy issues because it's assumed they automatically result in promiscuity and an overwillingness to please men.
The only style of dancing that Uncle Mitch likes involves a big shiny pole or broken woman with daddy issues.
Meanwhile, this rhetoric diminishes and dismisses these women as people with value. Basically, the idea is that they're good for a low-effort one-night stand, but too broken for a long-term relationship. On the whole, in pop culture, the girl with daddy issues is depicted as a hot mess. Her life is apparently permanently derailed by the loss of her dad, and that sucks for her, but the story is often just using her as a side act for a more well-rounded character, or pitying her.
You should know how difficult it is to cure a pretty girl with daddy issues.
One of modern pop culture's best examples of fetishizing daddy issues is Harley Quinn, Joker's on-again, off-again girlfriend who's been featured in Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. We know from the comic books that Harley's father was the reason she got into psychiatry, as she sought to better understand his neglect and infidelity. As she begins her relationship with Joker, she turns this highly dysfunctional male into her new dad figure.
Oh, kinda daddy.
Suicide Squad's marketing popularized images of Harley in her daddy's little monster crop top, pushing this as a male fantasy. It's not just the fact that she's played by extremely beautiful Margot Robbie, but also precisely her wild volatility and unpredictability that is seen as desirable, as it's code for sexually adventurous or experimental.
You're a lucky man. Got a bad bitch.
Blonde imbues a more tragic tone to Marilyn Monroe's daddy issues. The fictional Marilyn calls both her husbands daddy and is desperate for the approval of male authority figures.
Daddy, I couldn't imagine what to wear.
You look fine.
Are you sure?
So again, the implication is that our culture's most famous sex symbol only fashioned herself as such a desirable figure because she craved her daddy's attention. But the result is a very shallow and reductive portrait of how a person with an absent father might act. Blonde essentially suggests that all of Marilyn's insecurities and future problems stem from growing up without a father, and that she's forever lacking in confidence and self-worth as a result. It portrays her almost as a baby in an adult's body, someone who remained forever infantilized because the lack of a father fundamentally arrested her development. Ultimately, this common pop culture understanding of the girl with daddy issues is highly one-dimensional and pretty insulting. Euphoria does a better job than most of exploring why and how our culture mistreats girls who show signs of problems with their dad. Cassie, who has textbook daddy issues due to her father's abandonment, embodies the hot mess archetype in the eyes of her peers. The guys in her school see her as hypersexualized and pursue sex with her, only to slut-shame her if she agrees. Her boyfriends push her into taking nudes or going on camera, but it's Cassie who gets the bad reputation as a result.
Like a f***ing freak.
Cassie's on the slut page?
Wow.
Yo, we gotta see this.
Yo, what are you?
All this gets in the way of relationships with guys who do respect her. In the first season, her serious boyfriend McKay defends Cassie against the critiques because he cares about her. But she's subject to some much worse character assassination that even McKay sometimes succumbs to seeing her in that light and treats her badly.
Why you gotta make everything so sexual?
What?
So in Cassie, we see both sides of this coin clearly, how she's fetishized as one of the most popular girls in school, but also demonized and publicly shamed as a notorious figure among her peers. Research has shown how attachment patterns developed in childhood can persist throughout our lives, and neglectful or dysfunctional parenting can often produce an insecure attachment style in the child. Daddy issues specifically are linked to one of three types of insecure attachment: anxious preoccupied, dismissive avoidant, or fearful avoidant. Cassie in Euphoria embodies the anxious attachment style, defined by a desire for intimacy mixed with a profound fear of rejection and low self-esteem. The show dissects how the root of Cassie's issues is being let down by her father.
We used to visit them on weekends.
He said he was coming.
And then sometimes more than a month would go by.
At first, he's very loving and encouraging toward her, but as his own addiction and financial issues overwhelm him, he begins to neglect her, just as she's entering her tumultuous adolescent years. On top of that, when Cassie goes through puberty, the other older men in her life start lusting after her. So again, she's let down by people who should be taking care of her, while confusingly getting a sudden influx of attention for her body.
You really filled out.
Sassy Cassie. Come in.
Cassie's anxious, preoccupied attachment style comes out in her fearful, overeager approach to romantic relationships.
She fell in love with every guy she ever dated. She didn't like to be alone.
She gives too much of herself to the men she dates and ignores when they don't have her best interests at heart, so it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle that her relationships don't work out and confirm her worst fears that she'll inevitably be abandoned. She responds by being even more acquiescent to please her boyfriends, but then people don't respect her because it seems like she doesn't respect herself.
She almost always said yes, even though it didn't always make her feel good. And she knew that most guys, after she broke up with them, would always share those photos or videos.
This culminates in her cringeworthy season 2 behavior as she tries to win her best friend Maddie's ex, Nate. The worse he treats her, the more lengths she goes to get his attention, adopting an obsessive beauty routine, overtly copying Maddie's looks just to catch his eye, and offering to let him completely control her clothes and behavior.
Aren't you afraid people are gonna look down on you?
At least I'm loved.
In Cassie and other extreme examples, there's a sad irony that in giving themselves away, they're making it impossible for someone to love them as they truly are. Moreover, they're missing the fundamental truth that there's nothing we can do to make someone love us, just as there's nothing Cassie or the others could have done to make their dad stay or be more attentive. But it's this emotional fallacy, a subconscious belief that their dad wasn't there because they did something wrong or there was something wrong with them, that drives the dysfunctional adult relationships. On the other end of the spectrum, the neglectful father can also cause an avoidant attachment style.
You were going to cut me out? Well, kinda.
Instead of manifesting as clinginess, a once neglected child might act dismissive and emotionless to prevent getting hurt again. This is epitomized in the aloofness of Margot Tenenbaum, who was not only abandoned by her biological father, but also emotionally hurt by her distant adopted father. As an adult, Margot's behavior is defined by secrecy.
None of the Tenenbaums knew she was a smoker, which she had been since the age of 12.
She's emotionally distant from her husband and resists being vulnerable with the person she loves most, her stepbrother, Richie. Tragically, even when adult partners are supportive or trustworthy, a person with daddy issues who's developed an insecure attachment style may struggle to accept a devoted partner or actively seek out partners who treat her badly.
You can't keep trying to rescue me all the time.
They was trying to grab you.
A lot of people try to grab me.
In Forrest Gump, the abuse Jenny endures from her father as a young girl leads her to dangerous, self-destructive behavior with a series of men who are bad news, while she resists getting close to Forrest, someone who does love her deeply.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
It's also important to note that an absent father might not look the way we think. In You, Love Quinn's family background is pretty comfortable, and she doesn't experience any financial or physical neglect. But at the root of her family problems is that she and her brother felt her father to be distant.
We're actually already in soft prep for a film we're trying to get going. He could pretend to care, like if he wanted to.
Look from the female's perspective at how unhealthy behaviors later in life can stem from a dysfunctional early relationship with one's father that haven't been properly examined. In Trainwreck, Amy's father teaches her lessons when she's a kid that act as the origin story for her later hard-drinking, hard-partying, promiscuous lifestyle.
Monogamy isn't realistic.
Monogamy isn't realistic.
In The Flight Attendant, Cassie's father drinking with her at an inappropriately young age also leads to her adult drinking problem. She may have fond memories of her dad, but it takes looking honestly at what was wrong with his behavior for her to break out of unhealthy cycles. Watching a lot of these stories, it's hard not to wonder, why is it so often assumed that a woman with daddy issues can never overcome this and is basically doomed for life? Thankfully, more modern examples show their characters working through these past issues and understanding how to develop more healthy adult behaviors. Even Jenny and Margot make progress, though it's not really the story's main focus. Wilder versions of this character, like Love and Harley, also counter our expectations by proving they're strong presences who are not to be dismissed. In You, while at first we might worry about Love as she comes into contact with serial killer Joe, it becomes clear that she too is violent, possessive, and unpredictable, so she can hold her own.
Hey, Gil.
Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey, too, finally gets a life of her own outside of Joker. Meanwhile, if we look harder, we can also find numerous positive examples in pop culture of women who had absent fathers and aren't defined by this.
Is there anything that you need?
I don't need anything from you.
Some react to an absent father by taking on more traditionally masculine traits in themselves, like fearlessness, courage, and strength.
Be brave. Live.
Meredith Grey's relationship with her father is almost non-existent, to the point where she effectively denies that he's her father when talking to her half-sister Lexi.
We do not have the same dad. My dad disappeared when I was 5 years old, and I never saw him again. Does that sound like the daddy you grew up with?
But she has channeled this lack of parent into becoming fiercely independent and single-minded in pursuit of her goals. We can even see a similar theme across a number of Disney films, which often star heroines who lack fathers, or both parents, and have to fill the void themselves.
Do you have daddy issues? I don't even have a mom!
Neither do we! Rapunzel has no father figure and an evil false mother one, but she's daring and takes risks in pursuit of the truth about the floating lights that appear on her birthday. Princess Tiana is also fatherless, but is hardworking and career-focused. Even Cinderella, whose father remarried after her mother's death and hasn't defended her against an abusive stepmother, finds tenacity, strength of will, and a clear sense of her values within herself.
Kindness is free. Love is free.
So, in the absence of an ideal father, or sometimes of either parent, these heroic role models can create an imaginary version of that figure, attempt to embody it, and parent themselves. Attachment patterns are born out of relationships with either parent, not just fathers. They can also be influenced by relationships with siblings, teachers, and anyone in a caregiving position, because effectively they're about trust.
You and your father are obsessed with each other.
You're diagnosing me with daddy issues?
To reduce this complexity down to a reductive, highly gendered concept like daddy issues removes all the nuance. When we look closer, we see characters who don't need mockery, but support, and some who have developed impressive resilience and ways to cope. We can all look deeper at how to address our deeper attachment issues, and no matter how many times we get it wrong, there's always an opportunity to reflect and change the pattern. Love has long been seen as a prize to win on screen.
I think that's my biggest dream. To be your girl. To love you more than anything.
But how important that prize was to a character's motivations as a whole was generally split. For men, it was just a nice cherry on top, but for women, it was often the animating drive in their life.
Her dream man. Her backup dream man.
But for as long as it's been a trope, there have also been examples pushing back against that conception of romantic love. So let's take a deeper look at the love as a prize trope, how it shaped our views of relationships, why it fell apart, and how modern updates haven't gotten rid of love, but just changed what it means to win. For so long, for so many female characters on screen, no matter what their lives are like, the main focus of their life is often to find a guy that will fall in love with them. They might have great friends, a cool job, and seem like they've generally got a pretty awesome life, but they always feel like something is missing, and that something is always a dude.
I am someone who is looking for love. Real love. Consuming. Can't live without each other love.
There are certainly female characters who didn't get stuck in that trap because they had bigger fish to fry in their stories, but a surprising number of women characters are forced to operate with this idea that finding love, or some approximation of love, is the sole thing they need to focus on, the only thing that will make them feel whole.
Everyone needs a man.
These characters often feel like they're being left behind in life because they don't have that perfect relationship. They might have chosen to focus on other things up to this point and are now worried that it might mean that they'll never get their chance to find the one.
Everyone I know is either getting married or getting pregnant or getting promoted, and I'm getting coffee. And it's not even for me.
But her desire for a guy isn't just some abstract, oh yeah, that'd be nice idea. Hunting down and capturing the one drives her more than anything. She thinks that winning this prize, aka tying down the guy, is how she can prove her worth, both to herself and to society at large, that tells her that the caliber of guy she gets is a direct reflection of her own self-worth.
Aren't you afraid people are gonna look down on you?
At least I'm loved.
Because of this mindset, she thinks finding the one has to be a challenge. If it's too easy, then that means that he's not really worth it. When she is confronted with a guy who just likes her for who she is and doesn't make her chase him, she can't believe that it could be true love, because in her eyes, love should be work.
I'm used to the hunt, and this is effortless. It's just It's freaking me out.
Because this search for love is the central motivation of her life, she's willing to shove aside all of her friendships, her job, even her family, and change everything about herself if that's what it takes to get the guy she desires.
You're obsessed with talking about big, and frankly, we can't take it anymore.
It's out of our league.
What is this, an intervention?
Yes, stop her before she obsesses again.
She's willing to fully erase her true self in an effort to capture her man because she believes that that version of her, the version of her that is good enough for him, is who she's really supposed to be. In Euphoria's second season, we saw how Cassie's desperate desire to be wanted and claimed by a guy, especially one like Nate, who was seen as an ideal guy sitting at the top of the high school food chain, caused her to completely blow up her life and ruin her real, actually loving relationship with her best friend.
I would have never done this to you.
Once she realizes that getting with Nate could be a possibility, that goal completely overtakes everything else in her life. Every waking moment becomes dedicated to becoming the kind of girl that Nate would be interested in. And because she sees this as a search for love, aka the most important thing, she can't even fully comprehend why it all falls apart so spectacularly.
I'm pointing out the principle.
What principle?
The don't your best friend's boyfriend principle.
But thankfully, not everyone's story is so miserable. Some characters who do initially start out on this love as a prize path actually learn from their mistakes and actually end up with happier, more fulfilling lives because of it.
I realize you and Daddy were upset when I didn't marry Barry and get the big house in the suburbs with all the security and everything, but this is just so much better for me.
While Carrie Bradshaw essentially spent her entire life post-meeting Big moping around trying to force him to love her and be her the one in the way she desired, Charlotte plotted a different path. She began the series as the friend who was most militantly on the hunt for love, with rules and regulations to match. But then she did get the guy who, on paper at least, seemed like everything she wanted, and it did not work out. But she didn't just stick around forever trying to force things to work or completely give up. She opened up her mind to more possibilities of what love and the perfect guy could look like, and through that new mindset, did end up finding the one for her. And she importantly realized that romantic love isn't everything, and made sure to hold her friends close, too.
Maybe we could be each other's soulmates. And then we could let men be just these great, nice guys to have fun with.
That sounds like a plan.
And while Cassie becomes completely subsumed by her quest for love, the betrayal actually awakens Maddie to how unhealthy her relationship with Nate was, and how important it is that she moves on and leaves him behind if she wants any hope of a happy, fulfilling life.
Out of sight, out of mind.
On the flip side of the coin, with male character stories, getting the girl is usually just a nice little bonus, another feather in his cap to show how cool and desirable he is, but certainly not the main drive of his narrative or focus of his life.
Double pump?
It squirts the fuel in so you can go faster.
Oh. I like to go faster.
He has a lot going on, and romance isn't really something that even crosses his mind, unless he happens to come across a pretty lady on his adventures, and even then, it's usually fleeting. While for the female characters, getting the guy is framed as the prize of her life, for the men, she's just an extra trophy.
Not the man I knew 10 years ago.
It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
One offshoot of this trope that was big in the 80s and 90s was a version where the male character didn't appreciate his wife until she's about to leave him. And then, through 90 minutes of action in which she either does not feature or functions as a damsel in distress, he realizes that he does actually care for her and wants to keep her around.
Hi, honey.
She and her love aren't the prize, but instead the keeping of her, and usually the taking back of her from some nerdy money guy that she started dating, is the real win for these characters. When we do see male characters who position love and getting the girl as their main objective, they're pretty much always creepy nice guys. They do focus their energies around their hunt for the one, but only because they see her as an object that they deserve to have.
She can't say it's not meant to be. It is meant to be, and you know why? 'Cause I mean it to be.
While they don't see the one as someone that will complete them in the way the female versions of the trope do, they do have the similar drive of feeling that capturing this person will be what allows them to finally prove their self-worth to the world at large. And while the female version of the trope will change everything about herself to get the guy, the male version thinks that the woman he desires should completely mold herself into what will make him happy.
You want me to quit my job so you can feel like you have a girlfriend?
As time has gone on, we've begun seeing more and more stories that flip this trope, or even do away with it completely. Take classic Legally Blonde. Elle is initially singularly motivated to change up her entire life in an effort to get Warner back, but she pretty quickly starts to realize that that isn't the best place to focus her energy.
I even hired a Coppola to direct my admissions video. All to get my boyfriend Warner back, and now he's engaged to this awful girl, Vivian, so it was all for nothing.
It takes her a while longer to fully accept that that dream she had of Warner being the one isn't the future she wants, but it's made easier for her by the fact that she does have other things going on in her life. In addition to acing her classes and making friends out of enemies,
Look, he likes you.
Oh, he's giving me kisses.
she's also the one that saves the day in the end. Her prize is a well-rounded, fulfilling life surrounded by people that care about her. In Bend It Like Beckham, Jess isn't interested in guys or a relationship at all. Her main driver is becoming a better player.
Your sister's getting engaged, and you're sitting here watching this skinhead boy. Mom, it's Beckham's corner.
She does end up falling for a guy, but she doesn't give up her life or her future for him. She still keeps her plans to go off to America to play soccer with her best friend Jules.
Letting me go is a really big step for my mum and dad. I don't know how they'd survive if I told them about you two.
I guess there's not much point once you were going to America anyway.
In a society where women are often told that the main thing they should be focusing on is finding a guy and settling down, it can feel daunting to do anything else. But in stories like these, we can see how fulfilling it is to keep fostering your full self. And if romantic love does come along, awesome, but you don't have to singularly orient your life around just that. The love as a prize trope feels pretty outdated to us today, and that's because we've thankfully learned the same lesson as many of our faves, that changing your entire life just to try to find or hold on to what society tells you should make you happy and complete isn't any way to live your life. And stories have also opened up to the fact that love can be an animating drive for men too, and not just in a creepy nice guy way.
You vex me!
And what is it do you think you do to me?
We also see more stories grappling with the reality from the other side. Characters who did finally net that dream person they had been hunting for, only to realize they've only ended up trapping themselves.
I wonder if the sad I'd be without you would be less than the sad I get from being with you.
There's also thankfully been a step back from those strict binaries around gender and sexuality and relationships altogether on screen, which has allowed us the opportunity to see all different kinds of ideas of what love can entail. And importantly, not as a prize that one must struggle to win, but as something positive that you build with someone or someones who care about you just as much as you care about them.
I know I am imperfect, but I will humble myself before you because I cannot imagine my life without you.
And crucially, the biggest shift has been in focusing on allowing characters to actually take the time to figure out what they actually want in their friendships, in their relationships, and in life as a whole. There's no one person or thing we can win that will magically make us whole and turn us into the person we daydream about being. But if we instead focus on loving ourselves and surrounding ourselves with people who truly care about us, we can build a life that definitely feels like a win.
This shit is hard and confusing. The last thing you need is to feel worse because you're not feeling something you're supposed to feel. Do what feels good to you.
That's the take. Click here to watch a video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.